The Roadrunners get run out of town after a strong first half. Could Texas actually get a break and see Quinn Ewers come back next week? Probably not. And Kansas is a good football team. All of this coming up right now on College Crossfire.
Coming back to that 2021 MVP. He's better than Josh Allen. He's better than Baker Mayfield. He's not better than Mahomes. I can't say that. What you pick, you get picked. You know, a bag of money or whatever, some food inside of them. No, that is a great answer. How dare you? Oh, man.
Good evening and welcome into College Crossfire, the best collegiate debate show in the nation. I'm your host, Tommy Yarrish, excited to embark on a great episode tonight. Have to shout out our executive producer, Jordan Galehood, for that wonderful introduction video that you guys just watched, featuring my co-worker, Urban Meyer. We'll leave that for another time. Tonight, we've got an all-star cast. Let's start up on first base, the reigning champion. We call him Jay Baller. The U.S. government calls him Justin Goosman. Justin, welcome to the show, man. How's it going? Reigning champ.
It feels good to be back. You know, had to wear the same fit because we got to win once again. I appreciate you having me. Can't wait to get at it. Let's do this.
Awesome stuff. Welcome back, my friend. And on second base, making his season debut after a scorching hot campaign last year, it's fellow Texan live broadcaster Carter Yates. Carter, welcome to the show. How's it going?
I'm doing really well, Tommy. Excited to make my debut tonight for the 2022 fall season. And, you know, I spent last year, after the Tournament of Champions win, celebrated for about 30 minutes and spent the rest of the summer prepared to come back and defend the crown. So great to be here.
I'm sorry for forgetting our Tournament of Champions champion.
Yeah, you did the worm.
Man,
live on the show.
you did the worm. If you win tonight, can you do the worm again for us?
We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see if he's ready for that. And lastly, but not leastly, on third base, it's Mr. Good Stuff himself, Adam Ogburn, for the first time this year. Adam, welcome.
Doing great, Tommy. I don't know if you know this, but I won in the TSTV Dynasty League this past weekend, so really looking to keep the momentum going tonight.
All right, so Adam is starting off with -1 points tonight, as I was the opponent that he beat in the TSTV Dynasty League. But I guess we'll leave that for another time. It's a heavyweight bout tonight, folks. Let's get right into the action. We'll start on home turf as Texas football defeated the UTSA Jordan Galehoods, also known as the Roadrunners, 41-20. Compared to a season ago, the Longhorns seem to have handled adversity a little bit differently as they fell behind 17-7 early against UTSA, but rallied and finished strong, ended up winning by 21. When you compare how this team finished a year ago to last week, what is that you think has changed? Justin, we'll start with you.
Well, you know, it is just UTSA. It's not some big Power 5 school. But at the same time, what we saw last week was the leadership and experience of some of the older guys on the group. Guys like Deshaun Jameson, DeMarvion Overshawn, although we know that he was ejected with the targeting, the momentum that was kept on that field and the experience from those guys was really able to help them push through. Another thing that I like to look at is the implementation of schemes from coaches like Gary Patterson. His defensive influence is seen on this Texas team, and his influence was seen against Alabama, and this past week. I think it's the leadership. I think that's what's changed the most.
Hey, garbage targeting call too, while we're on the subject.
We let the panelists make the opinions. Now, DeMarvion Overshawn did get his appeal rejected by the Big 12 and the NCAA earlier today, so he will miss the first half against Texas Tech on Saturday. Back to the question, Carter, what's your answer?
I think the biggest difference I'm seeing from the 2021 to the 2022 version of the Texas Longhorns, they're playing opportunistic football. And what I mean by that is they're very clean on the offensive side of the ball, and then on defense, they are taking the ball away. So last year, 2021, they were -4 in the turnover margin, which means they gave up the ball 4 more times than the turnovers they forced. What you see this year now is they've actually had 3 non-offensive touchdowns, and it's been 2 pick sixes and 1 punt blocked for a touchdown. And I think what's really helping the Longhorns right now is the offense hasn't been as explosive as we might have thought coming into the season, because Wyoming transfer Isaiah Nayor has been out all year, so has Angalau, and now also Quinn Ewers has been injured the last few weeks. And Texas was only up by 4 points against UTSA, and that pick six from Jahdae Barron really was a momentum shifter for these Longhorns. And I think what you're seeing right now is the defense. It's all the same guys from last year for the most part, but it's a lot more senior leaders, and they're playing with their hair on fire. So we can talk a lot about Gary Patterson and all that he's done for this team, and like Goose is talking about, you see his imprints on the defense, but I think more of the credit should go to Pete Kwiatkowski and how he's got these guys fired up this season.
Yeah, Pete Kwiatkowski certainly doing a good job on the front seven, what he was so good with at Washington. And then Gary Patterson, you see his influence in the secondary really helping out there. What a hire that was for this Texas defense, and I'm glad that you guys both touched on GP helping out there. Adam, why don't you close us out?
Yeah, I think when you look at this Texas team last year, they were in a mental funk. There's no doubt about it. After losing to Oklahoma, they lost those 6 straight games. I think, Carter, you hit the nail on the head with the defense. I mean, in those 6 losses, Texas gave up an average of about 40 points per game. That's unacceptable. We've seen a better Texas defense. We've seen more of a pass rush. Bryce Young barely at any time to get rid of the football against Alabama. I think that really owns up to this Texas defense, the front seven getting pressure on them. But go to the other side of the ball. How about the offense? How about the pass blocking? Hudson Card, who really struggled in the pocket last year, he's had a cleaner pocket to work from. Christian Jones has really stepped up his play this year. We haven't seen as many penalties. We haven't seen as many blown assignments by him. Kelvin Banks has settled in great at left tackle, and I don't think you can overlook the presence of Jordan Whittington. Last year in that 6-game losing streak, this Texas team was really missing that number 2 receiver. You had Xavier Worthy that could take the top off, but you need that second option to kind of keep defenses honest. Jordan Whittington has provided that this year, and if he can stay healthy, that's going to be a big boost to this Texas offense that's absolutely loaded at the running back position.
3 great answers, but I really like Carter's the most, so you're going to get the 3 here. I love the term opportunistic football because something that Steve Sarkisian has talked so much about throughout this offseason heading into this year is Texas being able to capitalize on turnovers, and that turnovers really are such a huge part of the game. Adam, you'll get the 2, and Justin, you will get the 1. So Carter, the reigning champ from last year, starting out ahead 3-2-1. All right, we saw a heavy dose of the run game being utilized Saturday thanks to a banged-up quarterback room for Texas. But some maybe, emphasis on maybe, good news came into the light for Texas on Monday as Quinn Ewers practiced with the team, and he seems to be recovering a whole lot quicker from his shoulder injury than we all originally thought. Remember, the original diagnosis on that shoulder had him sidelined for about 4 to 6 weeks. The Longhorns now head to Lubbock this week, and then West Virginia comes into town next Saturday before the Red River rivalry against Oklahoma. Guys, it's coaching decision time for you. Put on those hats or the vest as Coach Sarkisian wears with the long sleeve shirt under it. You have a decision to make. Do you put Ewers in as the starter as soon as you can, or do you hold out to ensure his health and bring him in for that rivalry game? Carter, we'll start with you this time.
So what we know about Quinn Ewers is that the guy is tough as nails. This goes back to the 2020 state championship game he played in against Austin Westlake, where he has a sports hernia injury and then also some bruised ribs, and he plays that entire game. So Quinn Ewers is a very tough cat out there, and I don't care that it's his non-throwing shoulder, and I really don't care that he wants to play very badly right now because we know he's a competitor. You 100% cannot play him against Texas Tech this upcoming week because this is Power 5 football, and this is still a Big 12 defense that Texas Tech has. And look, this has been fantastic news that Quinn is progressing along the timeline better than we thought. Originally, this could have been a season-jeopardizing injury, 4 to 6 weeks, and now it's like, hey, he might come back in like 1 to 2 weeks. So you've got a great news around this quarterback you've got. You don't throw him out there 50% for the first conference game of the year. And here's why. Because you've got Hudson Card, who was the number two dual threat quarterback in the class of 2020. If you trusted him enough to start him as a redshirt freshman against Arkansas and SEC country, you better be able to trust him enough to start against Texas Tech this week. I think Hudson Card is plenty good enough to beat this Texas Tech team. He's been smarter with the football this year than he was last year. He's the most experienced backup in Power 5 right now, and he's battle-tested. I think you got to roll with him this week.
Good point, but don't remember, this Texas Tech defense is absolutely loaded. Gary Patterson even touched on it at the start of the season. Guys like Tyree Wilson on the defensive line for Texas Tech, who had 3.5 tackles and 2 sacks last week, by the way, are playing out of their minds right now. This is a very different Red Raider defense from what we've seen in years past. Adam, continue us on.
I'm going to disagree with Carter, but I think it comes down to medical prognosis. I agree with you on this sense. You don't want to throw out a 50% healthy Quinn Ewers. But if doctors are saying he's healthy, if they say there's no shot of really re-injury, a serious re-injury on Saturday, if they're saying he's good to go, then I would go ahead and put them out there. Do you remember this last time this Texas team went up to Lubbock? They barely won 63-56. They need an onside kick just to go on and win that football game. So this Texas Tech team, that's a hostile environment. If you remember Hudson Card last year going up to Fayetteville, Arkansas, in another hostile environment, that didn't go so well for the Longhorns. So I think if your best player, if doctors are saying he's healthy, if they're saying there's not a chance of re-injury, and he looks good in practice, I think you have to put him out there against Texas Tech on the road. If it was at home, I'd be a little bit more confident, and if it's I would save him for West Virginia. I wouldn't throw him out there at home against West Virginia if they're saying, oh, he needs another week. But for away against Texas Tech, if the doctors say he's good to go, I think Steve Sarkisian should start Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, that Texas Tech crowd sold out for the first time since 2018. It may only be 60,000, but they are 60,000 loud. There's going to be a lot of tortillas flying around Lubbock on Saturday. Justin, close us out.
I'm going to piggyback off of Adam here. I think if the doctors clear Quinn Ewers, you have to play him. One, he's the better leader. When he is out there, the team is more confident. We saw that against Alabama. Yes, the offense was not able to really get going after he went out. Hudson Card doesn't really provide the same passing ability that Quinn Ewers does. Second, Steve Sarkisian said at the beginning of the season, the goal is to be in Dallas come December. If you want to be in Dallas at the at the conference championship game, you have to be able to put your best players out there if they're medically cleared and go to work.
All right, awesome. 3 great answers once again. Adam, you're going to get the 3 here. I liked your point about piggybacking on just how good and how hostile this Texas Tech environment is. It could be very similar to that Fayetteville crowd we saw a year ago, maybe with less people, but the same amount of hostility. Justin, you're going to get the 2, and Carter, you'll close us out with the 1. Brand new ball game here, folks. If you want to do the math, you can do it yourself. We're 3 questions in. We've got a good battle on our hands, folks. Jumping in front early is going to be Adam with 5 points. Right behind him is Carter with 3, and rounding us out here in round number 1 is Justin with 3. Did I do that? Did I say that right? Did I say, Carter, you had 3 or 4?
3.
Okay. Carter has 4. I can't even do math, so hopefully you can do it yourself. Still a lot of time left to go. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back on College Crossfire. As we welcome you back into College Crossfire, let's give you a quick correct score update this time through the first block. Leading the pack with 5 points, it's Adam Ogburn sitting there on third base. Right behind him with 4 is Carter, and then rounding us out is the reigning champion, Justin, with 3. Still a lot of time to go. Second set of questions starts right now. Let's talk some pro football, guys. After a strong showing Monday night, the Buffalo Bills seem like the team to beat right now in the early goings of this year. Josh Allen has been playing out of his mind so far this season, and so is his favorite wide receiver target, Stephon Diggs, as the two combined for 148 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 41-7 rout over the Titans. Oh, and hey, by the way, on the defensive side of the ball, they've also got this guy named Von Miller. You might have heard of him, 2-time Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP, future Hall of Famer. Yeah, that guy's leading their defense as well. Panelists, even though we're 2 weeks into the season and there's a lot of games in front of us, who has the best chance of challenging this team? Adam, start us off.
I gotta go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I gotta stay within the AFC. I don't think the NFC. I don't like this. I think the AFC is better. It's more top heavy than the NFC. Look at the Buccaneers over there. They really struggle against the Saints. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have any receivers to throw to for the Packers. And then the NFC East is always a little bit muddied right now. So I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes has been his usual self. 5 touchdowns in the first game against the Cardinals. 2 touchdowns on Thursday Night Football against the Chargers. And they got that big pick 6 from 7th-round rookie Jalen Watson, 99 yards. So to beat the Cardinals in convincing fashion, and they come out with a big win against your AFC West rivals, the Los Angeles Chargers, who I think are arguably the second best team in that division. I think the Chiefs are going to be a threat again. I think we could see another playoff rematch like the one we saw last year in that crazy divisional round game.
All right, good start. Justin, how about you?
I hate to be boring, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Nothing has changed since last season. This team is averaging the 2nd most points in the league. They have the 5th most yards of any offense in the NFL, and they have a guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes, who last time I checked has not lost to Josh Allen in the playoffs. I believe that the Kansas City Chiefs are far and away the only team that can compete with the Buffalo Bills, and even though they lost Tyreek Hill, replacing him with Juju Smith-Schuster and some of the other speedy receivers that they still have in that core, I don't see anybody else other than the Chiefs competing with the Bills, but I actually think the Chiefs are the better team.
Don't forget about Travis Kelce. He kind of exists over there as well. Carter, round us out.
I'm going to take us to the NFC conference. I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. Look, I feel for Trey Lance, and I think he's going to have a hell of a career after he rehabs his broken ankle. But Jimmy Garoppolo, we forget, is a guy who took this team to a Super Bowl and an NFC Championship game in the last 3 years. And I think he's more suited on this team that's ready to win right now. And I'm going to look at the defensive side of the ball. They've got more interceptions than touchdowns they've allowed through the air thus far. They're giving up only 226 yards per game, and that run defense is stout. I think Jimmy G is a good game manager, which is what this team needs with George Kittle coming back, Deebo Samuel running the ball. Elijah Mitchell being out for 8 weeks is concerning, but once he's back for the playoffs, I think the sky's the limit for this 49ers squad.
All right, 3 great answers once again. Carter, you're going to get the 3 here for uniqueness, and because guess who lost? Or guess who beat the 49ers? The future Super Bowl champion Chicago Bears. You laugh. Just wait until Justin Fields is holding up that trophy in Arizona later. Super Bowl's in Arizona this year, right?
I believe so.
Okay, there you go. See, I'm right sometimes. Adam, you get the 2 for this one, and Justin, you get the 1. Still anybody's ball game, folks. We touched on Josh Allen a little bit, but how about some of the other quarterbacks here around the league in week number 2? Tua Tagovailoa threw for 469 yards and 6 touchdowns. And in the same game, Lamar Jackson had 437 yards of total offense to go along with 4 touchdowns. Sorry, Jordan Gilhood. If you're wondering, Lamar Jackson was somehow the one who lost that game, despite that incredible stat line. There's a lot of choices throughout these first 2 weeks, but who do you all think is an early candidate for MVP? Justin, you start us off this time.
I'm going to go a little bit unorthodox here. I'm actually going to choose Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen's counterpart on the outside. So far throughout the season, Diggs has 20 receptions with 4 touchdowns for over 250 yards. This guy is an absolute beast. We don't see receivers win MVPs all that often, but without Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen is not putting up the same numbers that he's putting up right now. Without Gabriel Davis last week, Stephon Diggs being the sole guy on that outside, still put up over 148 yards with a touchdown. I think it has to be Stephon Diggs.
Good answer to start, and unorthodox, like you mentioned. Carter?
Well, the two most important pieces on any NFL team are a franchise quarterback and some pass rushers who can get to the quarterback. And that's why my dark horse for MVP this year is Micah Parsons, defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys. He's got 4 sacks right now in the first 2 games, 2 sacks on Tom Brady, who is the most difficult quarterback to sack in the league. One of those was on 3rd and goal, by the way. And look, the Cowboys don't beat the Bengals last week if it's not for Micah Parsons. I think if the Cowboys go 9-8 this year, it's because Micah Parsons is a game wrecker and he's holding that defense down. And you think guys like Durant Armstrong, the other guy on the end that's taking over Randy Gregory, getting 2 sacks without Micah Parsons getting double teams on his left side of the ball? Not a chance. I think Micah Parsons is the most valuable player in the NFL at the end of the season.
Adam?
Justin Fields? No,
3 points for Mr. Ogburn.
no shot. My unorthodox.
No shot.
My
-1 for Mr. Ogburn.
my sleeper NFL MVP pick. How about what Jalen Hurts is doing with the Eagles? Eagles off to a 2-0 start. Hurts has been he's done really well on the ground, but also his completion percentage. Accuracy has been a problem with him. He had an over 80% completion percentage against the Vikings on 31 passing attempts. That's definitely impressive. 150 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground so far. He's thrown for 570 yards. This is with an Eagles team that put up, I believe, 38 on the Lions and then 24 last week on the Vikings. So and I think especially with Dak going down, there's a bit of a vacuum on top of the NFC East. I think the Eagles could jump up there. And if they do that, the player that's going to be leading them is Jalen Hurts.
You're already laughing, and I haven't even told you the score yet. So you already know what you're getting this round.
I think so.
Adam, I really like your pick because I'm a big Jalen Hurts believer. I think that he is definitely leading this Eagles team to a really good spot. Justin, you're going to be getting the 2. And moving on to our third question. Oh, yeah, by the way, you get 1. A few weeks ago, we talked about Shohei Ohtani's potential MVP bid. And even with this spectacular season combined with the talent of Mike Trout, the Angels were still eliminated from playoff contention for the 8th year in a row. By the way, this is the 5th season that the 2 superstars have played together, and they've come up completely empty-handed to show for it. Los Angeles has had 2 of the best players to ever play the game together for half a decade. And clearly, guys, something isn't working. What do the Angels need to do to start making use of their elite talent? Adam, we'll start with you.
You got to get some sort. You got to build something around Trout and Ohtani. I mean, this isn't the NBA. We saw LeBron carry terrible Cleveland teams to the final year after year after year, but you can't do that in baseball. Your 3 and 4 hitters, they're only getting about 40 to 50 more at bats a year than your 8 and 9 guys. And so this Angels team, they just do not have a complete roster. Their starting pitching needs work. They tried the Noah Syndergaard bet, that didn't work out. And then you just look at down some of these guys. Anthony Velasquez, you started a lot of the games in the infield for them. He's batting 190. You got guys who are, either should be rotational guys, kind of utility guys, or guys who maybe should be even in the major leagues. And that's making up that bottom half of the Angels lineup. I mean, their catchers are Max Stassi and Kurt Suzuki, who's retired. So they just don't have the depth. And that's why they went on a 15-game losing streak earlier this year, and that's why they continually failed to make the playoffs year after year after year. They've not built around Trout and Ohtani like they should.
Okay, so Adam playing the GM card there. Carter, what do you think?
Well, I think a lot of times when you look at a team that's been so woefully underperforming, you think there's no salary cap in baseball. They're just not spending any money. But the Angels have actually been in the top 8 in spending in the major leagues since 2015, and they've gone out and got free agent signings like Anthony Rendon and Josh Hamilton. I think what you need to do is trade Shohei Ohtani and then get a boatload of prospects and draft picks for him. Because, look, he's a free agent next year, and he's already on record saying he wants to go somewhere where he can win a World Series. He's going to be a free agent and go get his bag. You might as well go let him get his bag and then also get a franchise-changing trade based off of it. So I would trade Shohei Ohtani.
All right, Justin, finish this out.
Implode the stadium, sell the team, move to a new city. It hasn't worked. You have 2 elite talents. Do whatever it takes, because clearly management wasn't the issue. They fired Joe Madden. Nothing happened. Sell the team, implode the stadium, move to a new city, change the name. I don't care.
And what the Angels do you
Wow, man. Did the Angels like personally beat you up when you were
bet on
playing
them? You
like
bet on them
Little
to make
League
the
or
playoffs?
something?
I have no money on the
you-
Angels. No
I
stake.
mean, it sounds like you did, man. Just telling them to blow up the stadium? What did the stadium do? It's not the stadium's fault.
Superstitious guy. What can I say?
Hey, you know what? That works sometimes. Not this time, though. Carter, you're going to get the 3. Adam, you get the 2 here on this question. Justin, you get the 1. It's still a really close game, folks. We are not out of the woods anywhere yet, and you all know what's coming up next. It's the 3rd and best round of them all. Rapid fire. Out in front with 12 points is Adam Ogburn. Right behind him with, if I can do math, 11 is Carter Yates, and rounding us out with 7 is going to be Justin Goosman. We're not going anywhere, guys. One more round. Rapid fire coming up next. Oh. It's time for the last 3 questions of the night for us here on College Crossfire, and you know what that means. It's the rapid fire round where the points are double, so it's anyone's game. If you're new to the show, Rapid Fire is our 3rd and final segment where our contestants will have to answer 3 questions just like they have in the last 2 rounds. Stop looking at the teleprompter to try and get ahead, guys. In the last 2 rounds, but this time they have no idea what I'll be asking, so everything is off the dome. They say defense wins championships, but that's completely false. Rapid Fire wins championships. Let's find out who tonight's champion is going to be. Let's start with this. Earlier this week, a story came out from a good friend of the show, Sam Kahn, who works for The Athletic, detailing how the University of Texas went about spending nearly $300,000 worth of travel, food, hotels, activities, and more on the official visit weekend that hosted Texas commits Arch Manning, Malik Muhammad, Sadir Mitchell, and others. My question to you guys is, if you're a 5-star recruit going on your official visit, what are some things you would want your potential suitors to roll out for you when you get to campus? Anybody can answer. That's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question. Well, I think a few things I gotta have at my recruiting bash. I gotta have a Games to You truck, a video game truck, so I can go with all my guys and see who's the best at Madden. I gotta have a hot tub so I can go hang out there. And I need some music, so I'm gonna go Tyler Childers playing on the stage.
Live Tyler Childers?
Live Tyler Childers. That's where I'd go.
Okay, so music, video games, and hot tub. You're a
Yeah.
simple man.
Simple man, try to beat that one.
All right, guys, we got 2 more left. Who's gonna pop first?
For me, my family has to be taken care of. If they are not taken care of to the highest standard, I'm not attending your school. Second, similarly, I got to play some 2K on the Jumbotron at whatever stadium I'm going to. That is a must. If that doesn't happen, you're not getting me. I'm not going to your school. Last but not least, if I do not have an all-you-can-eat buffet, I'm talking seafood, classic American, Italian, anything you name, it needs to be there. I have to have all the food that I, my family, and any fellow recruits would want with me.
So J2?
No shot.
Oh boy, yeah. Instant decommitment there from the University of Texas, and I would not blame Arch Manning one bit. Adam?
Man, I better have some dang good barbecue. Better have some good personal merch that I can take home with me. Got to rep the school. Got to take care of the family. And man, how about running a practice session out on the field with some teammates? Got to bring the high school teammates. Got to bring the boys with you. Get some throws out going on DKR.
Okay, so a whole full high school practice at DKR. 3 really great answers. I'm a family man, so Justin, you'll be getting 3 here. Carter, I love video games. I love the truck. You'll be getting the 2. And then Adam, you'll close us out with the 1. All right, next question, guys. Earlier this week, UTSA released a uniform announcement on the Texas campus before their matchup with the Longhorns. And despite the fact that the Roadrunners do it for every opponent, it, of course, garnered the attention of Texas football fans and was taken as a bit of trash talk. As many of you know, it does not take much to rile up this Texas fan base to begin with, so it's easy to see why this made the rounds on social media. If you are part of an underdog team heading into a big away game, this was obviously a huge game for UTSA as a group of 5 team. What's your strategy for trying to get under your opponent's skin and gaining a mental advantage?
Against UT?
Against any big away opponent. It doesn't necessarily have to be UT. Any big opponent. You're going on the road. It's your Super Bowl, quote unquote. This is the biggest game of your career.
I'm going to go, this won't work in all cases, but if you're playing a team with a live mascot, Kentucky did this with Florida, you're cooking the mascot up for the game, the pregame meal, not the actual mascot, but the food. Kentucky did a game after beating Florida. You're playing Texas, go find you a Longhorn, and so on and so forth. So it won't work for all mascots, but if you've got an animal mascot that's edible, you got to cook it up. Make a statement like Kentucky did.
Can you cook a Longhorn? Can you cook Bevo? Obviously, we would never do that. That's a capital sin. But could you do that? I guess we could.
Anyone probably would.
Yeah, typical. Carter?
I'm finding their favorite hangout spot, their favorite bar, the place the team likes to go hang out. I'm throwing a little bash for my team. Just make sure we get acquainted with the territory a little bit.
Ah, okay, yeah. So that's really like it's a territory battle at that point. Okay, that's top tier mental games right there,
Yep.
Justin.
I'm getting my best player, the best player on my team. I'm looking for their quarterback and going through social media, DMing anybody that shows up on their social media. But in particular, you got to DM the girlfriend because that is going to get under their skin. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything that's inappropriate. You just have to get under the skin and DM the girlfriend. That's the move.
PG DM.
I would not expect anything less from the guy that we call Jay Baller. That was an amazing answer. Carter, I want to give you the 3 here just because I think that is absolute. I would be very upset if I walked into my hangout spot and the entire team was there. Justin, that would definitely get under my skin, so I'm throwing that out there. Adam, you're going to get the 1 here. Rapid fire makes it anyone's game, folks. Last question, and I think this might be the best question. Future NBA Hall of Famer and Texas legend Kevin Durant came back into town last week as he was inducted into the Texas Hall of Honor alongside several other great Longhorns. Fellas, let's say you've got the opportunity to work out with one athlete, past or present, and learn about their craft while also improving yours. Who would it be and why?
Aaron Donald trains with knives, so I think I'd like to work out with him. Maybe not exactly do it yet, but like have a 6-month ramp-up process to where by the end of the training regimen, I can also work out with knives.
Okay, so Carter enjoys knives and putting his life at risk for football drills. Next.
I'm a soccer guy, so I'm gonna go Ronaldo. Man, that dude's jacked. That dude's obviously doing something right in the weight room on the field. Man, scores big time goals. So I'm gonna go Ronaldo. Bring some soccer to College Crossfire.
Okay, bringing some soccer in. And Justin?
I've always been a shooter in basketball. It's got to be Klay Thompson. If I work out with Klay Thompson, odds are he's taking me on his boat. And if I get on Klay Thompson's boat, my life is complete. So that's all that matters to me. It's got to be Klay Thompson.
All right, so we've got Klay Thompson, Aaron Donald, but specifically with knives, and then Ronaldo. So 3 of the game's greatest in their own ways. This question very much decides who wins this game, by the way. Guys, you make it tough on me every single week. Every single week. Carter, I'm going to give you the 3 here, just because knives sound like a lot of fun. Justin, you're going to get the 2, and then Adam, you will get the 1. Fellas, we have a winner. We have a winner. A strong winner. As you all know, there can only be one champion here on College Crossfire every week. And today's Crossfire champion is Carter Yates. Carter, in his first appearance back with 19 points, tops us out tonight. Do we have time for FaceTime? No, we don't. Sorry, Carter. Congratulations, though.
And we'll be back here next week, though. We'll be back here next week.
He will do the worm next week. Congratulations, Carter, and huge thanks to Adam and Goose for coming on with us tonight. You guys were absolutely incredible, and we, as always, had a wonderful night here on College Crossfire. Thank you all so much for joining us, and make sure to tune into our sister shows, the One and O Sports Show with Mr. Adam Ogburn on Friday mornings, and then come back for College Press Box on Mondays as well. That'll do it for us here in the TSTV studios. Before you go, make sure to watch all those shows again, and thank you to our live studio audience for coming out and being great as usual tonight. For all of our contestants, everyone in Master Control, our executive producer, Jordan Gilhood, and all the other great folks here at TSTV, my name is Tommy Yarrish saying good night, and we'll see you next time.